I like to paint objects that I know and understand. They have at some time made an impression on me, and therefore I've looked at them harder and longer. You could say it's almost impossible to do credit to something which isn't fully understood and experienced. Not my words, but those of the artist Peter Owen Jones, my father. Peter was born in 1933 in the village of Bradwell in the Derbyshire Peak District, a landscape that was to inspire him throughout his life. When Peter was just 4, his parents, Harry and Doris, moved the family to Sheffield, but Peter would return to live in the Peak District many years later. For as long as he could remember, railways were a source of fascination to Peter. In those days they were somehow more exciting, more romantic. In his teens, Peter became a keen photographer. He applied for and got a permit which allowed him access to get down by the tracks to record, photograph and sketch. As a student, he worked as a night porter at Sheffield Midland Station. In the quieter moments, he would sketch, soaking it all up like a giant sponge. The people, the places, the sounds, the sights, the smells. By his own criteria, these things have been experienced, they've been understood. Something so apparent in this delightful sketch of Brightside in Sheffield, a scene which eventually became a painting called The Terminus in 1992. So, let's spend the next half hour or so with my favourite old master. This is Stockport, a tangled mess of overhead cables, gantries and steelwork. But peel away the years, and this is what it looked like back in the 1950s. This painting, entitled The Comet at Stockport, was completed in 1991. It still fascinates me to look deep into these pictures, to see how the tiniest flick of colour can create such atmosphere, or can become characters, people leaving, people waiting. So many stories being told. In the case of this painting, we were lucky enough to unearth some rare footage filmed by a friend and neighbour, John Wright. In it, Peter talks about how and why this painting took shape. Bear in mind that this was filmed back in the days of VHS camcorders, so it isn't the greatest in terms of technical quality, but I think we can live with that.
This is a 1940s view of Stockport Station, which I rather liked as a potential for the painting, particularly the area around here, which I think, if we sort of move into it, can give some idea of the complexity of buildings and movements, the linear movements in the painting, which I decided to use as the basis for a new oil. Here we've got the sketch which I've then prepared from the first photograph, and it's been adapted to include the sort of locomotive activity and condensed to concentrate on the sort of central area of the photograph. So there's a good deal of foreshortening evident in the arrangement. Using a small sable, I've started to put in the basic shapes using a sort of very thin, dilute, burnt umber, this being a sort of neutral shade, without any consideration at this stage for the sort of colour scheme of the painting. Right, I'm just putting some more detail here into the picture on the right hand side. Painting another loco standing on this far platform, hoping I get the shapes more or less right first time. It's slightly sideways on, but only just. A bit of the side of it here. The track would be about there. I generally find that in this view the distance between the tracks, if you multiply that by 2.5, gives you about the right height to the chimney. So, yes, it's roughly about there. I'm using a mixture of ultramarine and cadmium red here, giving a kind of coolish purple base. Now I'm really looking against the light because we've got the underpainting here of the lights on the platform in this evening scene, so I can afford to shove some dark tone in around here at this stage. Probably darken it a bit more down here too, you see, so that we're catching light now in the background. This train's coming out, this one's still waiting, and then probably at this stage we could just indicate the line, so there's the edge of the platform, so the line of the coaches would probably go, the roof line would go round like that. And then we've got the others careful here for the line of the track. Now from the information on the photograph, it diverges at this point, and part of the track goes across here, runs into this slot, and another one comes down from this point here at the side of this lamp post. Yes, over here there's a little hut which I should like to put in. It's probably the sort of little hut that a man sat in these days when it was foggy, and it has a little stove, so it's got a little chimney here actually sticking up, which is nice, and some windows. He'd sit there in the fog, and if the signalman couldn't see what was happening, he'd put these detonators on the line. There we are. That's enough of this. So just at the side of it. If I'm not happy with it, I'll paint it out later on, because I don't want it to take the attention away too much from there. Now I'm going to stick a bit more blue into this, and just bring a bit more tone up here. Very dilute, plenty of terps. This is a nighttime scene with an industrial background. I love this bit where the paint runs down and you get lovely soft tonal effects. Great fun doing this, because you can slosh it about and enjoy yourself. Now I find that working this way I can get the painting to develop gradually without overcommitting myself too soon, and I get the feel of the mood of the occasion. Yes, that's sort of, don't worry about these trickly bits, it'll all work out in the end, gets covered up. But by getting rid of the white of the canvas very early on here, you start being able to measure more readily the tonal value of the colours you put on, because you're not comparing them with white all the time and you're getting a false set of values. You're comparing them with other tones, and that's okay, that works quite well. This gives you a better feeling of what it wants to look like, the atmosphere.